As you have seen in the previous examples, names such as Hello World and course grade were used as names for classes or programs. Exam rate, exam score, NAP score, etc. were defined in the course grade program. In general, these are called identifiers. Last time, we talked about abstraction. In Java, or most high-level programming languages, one can associate values or attributes of certain types with an identifier. This is a very important concept because for human beings, it is a lot easier for us to remember names rather than a series of numbers, such as the ID of a person. Although each of us has been associated with different ID numbers. For example, your student or staff number, your Hong Kong ID number, and passport number. Many of you may not remember all these numbers, but I'm sure that you won't forget your own name or those of your friends and family members. One big advantage with high-level programming language is that one can use meaningful symbols to represent objects, as opposed to machine language where everything is represented as zeros and ones. The naming of identifiers must follow certain rules in Java. In Java, a valid identifier is a sequence of characters, consists of letters from A to Z, both lowercase and uppercase. The symbol, underscore, and the dollar sign can also be used. And digits from 0 to 9, except that digits cannot be used as the first character of an identifier. Identifiers are case sensitive. For example, hello with capital letter H is different from hello with all lowercase letters. Who am I with all uppercase letters is different from other versions with a mix of lowercase and uppercase letters. Let's look at some examples. You have seen that exam rate and exam score have been used in the previous program, and they are valid identifiers. You also see the word int and double in orange. These are types of the identifier. Let's ignore them for now. You can also add underscores in between words. For example, exam underscore score and perfect underscore score underscore 100. But space cannot be included as part of an identifier. So perfect space score space 100 with space in between is not a valid identifier. If you want to separate two words in an identifier, the underscore should be used. Don't confuse the underscore with a hyphen. The hyphen cannot be used as an identifier as it would be interpreted as a minus sign. 2014Y is an invalid identifier because it starts with a digit. One last example of an invalid identifier is int. Int is a reserved word in Java used for declaring certain identifier as an integer. I'll come back to its declaration later in the lecture. So one more rule is that reserved words cannot be used as an identifier. Let's take a look at what is a reserved word. It's not difficult to find reserved word in our daily life. Some vehicle registration plates are reserved for certain specific purpose. For example, license plate starts with AM for vehicles in Hong Kong are reserved for government vehicles. Plate numbers for fire engines in Hong Kong always start with F. For the internet domain names, .gov, .gov is reserved for government organizations, and .edu is reserved for educational institutions. Similarly, Java uses some reserved words. The table here shows some of the Java reserved words. The list is incomplete, but covers most of the reserved words to be used in this course. Different programmers may follow different programming style, but there are certain commonly used styles that could improve the readability of your program. That is, easier for others to understand your program. Here are some naming conventions for Java identifiers. It is important that meaningful names should be used. the use of meaningless names such as X, Y, Z should be replaced by more meaningful names such as radius, area, scores if possible. For lengthy names, it is helpful to introduce mixed case, that is, a mix of lowercase and uppercase letters by separating words with uppercase letters. These are commonly referred to as camel case, just like the humps of camels. There are two types of camel case. Lower camel case starts with a lowercase letter. For example, exam score with S in capital letter, and area of circle with O and C in capital letters. Lower camel case is usually used for Java variables and methods. There is also upper camel case, which starts with a uppercase letter. Upper camel case is usually used for naming classes. In previous examples, Hello World and Course Grade are class names that begin with uppercase letters. Here is another example of a declaration for a class of bank account. I'll give detailed discussions on what methods and classes mean in the next lecture.